What's up, you guys? I got a goal right now to kill a bunch of these Black Knights, but ever since the last Deadman mode, I've been having a couple thoughts about the game. And this is just as good a time as any to talk about it. You know? Regardless of your opinions on the game, though, a lot has happened in 2024. But the biggest question for me that I have is, should Jagex continue to release brand new, hot off the press content, or focus that energy on revamping some of the activities that we already have in the game that could definitely use a little bit of love? For a game that's 20 years old, there's equal arguments for both sides as to what Jagex should be improving upon in their personal opinions. You've got the fresh players that want new stuff, they don't want to play an old game, and then you've got people that have been playing for up to 20 years. They might not be so adverse to new content and new change. Old school is old school because it's old school after all, right? If you don't want old school, then you go play RuneScape 3. Isn't that how it works? I do have to give credit where credit is due. The team that created the Deadman mode tournaments and the league seasons, mwah, chef's kiss. Through the several years where you were able to test and trial things out, the first couple were rocky, but I just did my first Deadman mode, and coming up is my third leagues. I'm super hyped. These things are awesome. I just wish that Jagex could keep that same energy when they're adding in new content and revamping the old content. I feel like it was a really well-intentioned play to want to do an update to something with the fire making skill, just because it's so underused, underutilized. Unless you're doing a bunch of cooking or going to Todd to get your 99 or a specific quest, there's not too much other actual practical use for it in the game. But I'm not exactly happy with the warmth meter. Apparently, you can fletch longer in between Winter Todd attacking you without being interrupted. Can't really tell a difference. The only thing I'm super happy with is the loot pool. It now works like Guardians of the Rift and Temporos, where you don't have those stinking crates that don't stack taking up your bank. That's probably the best thing I could say. Winter Todd just happens to be the most recent example of revamping old content that I can think of off the top of my head. Sure, it's more bearable, but the revamp, it didn't add more practicality through the whole game for that skill. They didn't add any new loot. They didn't change any of the loot table, the rarities and whatnot. Honestly, you guys know I love cooking. I would have loved to see maybe the Cooking Guild get an update, or who goes to the Ranging Guild? Instead of doing mini games as a revamp, I kind of want to see more stuff out in the open world get a little bit of love. Even though I'm not that happy with the revamping side of things, that doesn't mean I'm on the side of only do new content either. Jagex has been rolling out a lot of it lately. We've gotten Forestry Parts 1, Part 2, Desert Treasure 2, Varlamore Part 1, While Gothic Sleeps, Varlamore Part 2, the Herbology minigame. That's a lot for 2023 and 2024, but not all new content is made the same. Even though I've been thinking about this since the beginning of last Deadman mode, Varlamore Part 2 is what's really wanting me to talk about this and make this video, because new content should not be bad. It's fine for people to be like, oh, this is new. Because it's new, it's a little difficult, but it should not just be bad. Huey Codal. It looks nice. It looks badass. I'm sure it was a well-intentioned idea for a new boss to introduce the soiled tome, or the soiled pages in the Tome of Earth. But when it comes down to the actual loot and the drop tables and things, and the encounter itself, a lot of people both other content creators, personal friends of mine, they've been less than thrilled and they kind of feel like they missed the mark on this one. And while I could sit here and say, oh, bad boss, bad loot, bad implementation, yada yada yada, that's nothing compared to what happened with the mixology minigame. There was a issue so freaking bad with the potion storage and their being able to dupe things with it that Jagex had to do a rollback. Jagex rarely has to do rollbacks, but that is the most extreme course of action that they will take on something to get things back to the way they should be. People get so pissed off because this isn't a thing that would happen if things were tested appropriately and, not rushed. Because all this happened, it seems rushed to me. Usually though, before any kind of revamp or new content gets brought into the game, Jagex will run one of their world famous community polls. Which is great in theory, but do they really work? Do we actually get updates that we want? Or just the ones that make it through the polls? And don't answer that, that was rhetorical. Sure, it's the best way to reach a massive amount of people, but there is a noticeable chunk of players that will strictly vote no to anything PvP or wilderness related. I've seen it on Twitter, I've seen it on Reddit, I've seen it on various web pages online, and they're out there. Plus, we also have big content creators for the game that can sway the masses somewhat with their opinions. Some ideas that have been polled and passed have even been said to specifically have catered to the 1% of players and content creators. So that's a little bit of an issue too. All these opinions are my own that I have made through not only my gameplay, but talking to the dozens of other players and friends that I have that play old school RuneScape. And I am not shitting on any JMod or any person that develops the game and works on it with their own two hands. I want to shit on the corporate executives that they have to listen to, because at the end of the day, they're going to make the choices that put more money in their pockets over the best interests and what's more fun and the longevity of things, I've had so many thoughts about all this over the past few weeks, couple months, and the video would be super freaking long if I deep dived into each one, but where do we go from here? Should Jagex keep revamping old content? Should they focus on brand spanking new game content? We need the nostalgic charm of the older things because old school is old school, but at the same time, you can only recycle content so many times. I think it's about finding the right balance, but personally, I would like to see more things being revamped and reworked. At the end of the day, I do feel like this year, Jagex just released a ton of things, which for a lot of people is good. But there's also a lot of quality of life things that they could do in the game that would add just as much of an impact as if something were brand new. Like, have you noticed there's nowhere to go pray in Falador? And the balloon transport system, the first and last update it got was May 4th of 2022. When flying a hot air balloon using logs from your storage, you will now get told how many of what you have left of that type. These balloons go to several different, pretty niche, but amazing places, and I just feel like it's underutilized because the quest interface when you're unlocking the trails looks pretty jank. That could use a graphical update, and for my irons, Whoop whoop. Maybe cut down on the amount of supplies you need during the quest. 10 of each log? Why does the Grand Tree take only 3 magic logs, but everything else is 10? What's up with that? A pretty big and impactful change that I absolutely loved when Jagex removed the favor. I didn't mind the favor grind. I already had all my favors grinded out, but when they removed it, you can now go to a ton more places with the Lovikinge minecart system. They used to only be like 5, but now there's a dozen different places that will take you all over Corinth, and it's great. I want more of that. I want to see more of that. I would love to see more agility shortcuts to make leveling your agility that much more useful. There's only a select few places in the game to utilize a grapple. That would be nice to see more of that. I would like to think that any of these little tweaks that I've mentioned here just now should be miles easier to implement instead of making Farlowmore Part 2 or a whole brand new quest or whatnot. Oh, and another thing. I'm on a roll. I would love to see more clue loot. There's the Crier's outfit. I think he's in red, but we only have the blue one. What's up with that, Jagex? There's a lot of outfits, especially with all these brand new Varlamore PCs. I would love to be able to wear their drip. You picking up what I'm putting down? I hope so. I'm pretty sure I've said my piece here. I am on team revamp parts of the game. Just because, look, I've only been playing since COVID. I've got 3-4 years under my belt now. There's people that have been playing for 20 years. I'm still so far behind. I am only caught up to like Barrow's content. And now Scurrius is out. Between finding all these moneymakers, playing the game for fun, trying to do quests when I can, wanting to do clues and skill grinds, and I just can't seem to manage to catch up. So new content right now isn't really doing that much for me. But I'm glad that it's there for the people that can get to it, and I hope that they enjoy it, and I hope that it's also quality, because, you know, people deserve quality things in a game that they pay for. But thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit that subscribe button, and I'm gonna try to do some more talkative, opinionated pieces like this. But what are your thoughts? Are you on team revamp some things and give quality of life updates, or do you strictly want to see brand new